Good morning, this is Nathan, your nature navigator, about to board the Mohican for their 6-hour discovery cruise. It's a really awesome tour. I totally recommend that you come out on it. I'm going to show you some of the sights and sounds as I take this cruise today. So check it out. It's a really cool map that you can discover Lake George aboard the Mohican. So we're about to board here, stalwart crew and captain, and yeah, I think it's going to be a great time, so come on out. So we've backed out of the pier, the steel pier where the steamboat company is headquartered. Check out the Mohican here. Mohican is on the National Register of Historic Places. It's been in service since 1908.
Good morning, folks, and welcome aboard.
Captain's commentary ahead. So it's a good thing you're out on the lake. So I'm on the Discovery Cruise. I'm going to open up this map that they have given me. It's got some history in here, and it's got the points of location. You can check it out. They've got different things that they're pointing out on the lake. We're going to go the whole length of this lake today and learn about its history from the narration by the captains. We're headed north. We just passed through Assembly Point. We have Long Island over to our right here. We've just crossed the lake from the east side over there, past Dome Island there. That's Buck Mountain in the background. We're heading over into Bolton Landon, so we're looking across the lake over into the old Knapp Estate, over into the Narrows over there and Tongue Mountain Range. So there's the Sagamore coming up, and we're about to dock up in Bolton Landon. You can see that the deck crew has cleared out this area so that they can put the gangway on and take off passengers at the Bolton Landon dock. Alright, so we're gonna come in. Okay, we're leaving Bolton Bay, Bolton Landon now. You can see that we're passing the Sagamore Hotel on Green Island, and we're starting to head north up into the Narrows. So right now we're passing Montcalm Point, or the Point of Tongue, sometimes it's called. And there's actually a small little island there, that little rocky spot. Just beyond that, there's a public dock where you can put up your canoe and check out that area. We're on the second deck, stern of the vessel. We're gonna head up these stairs here, up to the third deck. It's all open up here. It's a little noisy because of the wind and the engines, but you get the really best views through here in the Narrows. The Tongue Mountain Range over here on the left, looking back towards Bolton Landon. Looking back towards Bolton Landon in the Narrows, and over towards Shelvin Rock, the old Knapp Estate. These are two single islands, an island behind it as well. You can rent these islands. That's Erebus Mountain. up in the Narrows, looking over at the Ton Mountain Range, this little set of islands, you can see it's the coloration of the water. That means it's shallow through there. It's called the Coop over through there. That's a single island campsite called Gourd Island. Very pretty area. Looking north along the Tongue Mountain Range. If you look at the clarity of the water going up to that island, you can see this island is being camped on today. There's a little solar panel out there too for the outhouse. Looks like they're having a nice time all camped out on the point of this island. Up here in the Narrows with the Tongue Mountain Range. And then we're looking north. We're continuing to head north on the lake. This is Erebus Mountain that we're looking at. And this is part of Black Mountain Point. That's a small little island of that rock. And over here, that there is Black Mountain, the tallest mountain on Lake George. We're heading north. So we've entered an area called the Mother Bunch Islands, also known as the Northern Narrows. That's Floating Battery Island that we're passing. This is still the Tongue Mountain Range that we're looking at. You can see this very shallow area where the water is discolored. You don't want to go through there with your boat unless you have a canoe. We're continuing to look north into the Mother Bunch Islands. We're taking this channel. We're passing alongside of Elephant Mountain. And of course this here off to our right is Black Mountain, the tallest mountain on Lake George. So we're getting a better look at the Mother Bunch Islands here. We're looking kind of back at them to the south. A nice set of islands to camp on, picnic on, just come hang out on. Beautiful waters to swim in. Now we're starting to look north. More and more islands of the Mother Bunch. Island coming up actually has a little bit of a church on it. It's owned by the Paulus Fathers. You can see the two islands are separated by a small narrow channel. It's called the Eye of the Needle. We're looking back at Black Mountain. You can actually see the fire tower up there. But now we are coming into the community of Hewlett's Landing. You can see some houses starting to appear. We're kind of come around this point, and that'll be where the community lies. A nice little island over there with its own bridge. We're starting to really get into the community of Hewlett's Landing here. It's in this little bay. Within that bay, there's a nice beach for Washington County residents. You can actually drive into this community up and over that mountain there. It's right off of Route 22. We're looking across the lake from Hewlett's Landing, the community I was talking about. That's Deer Leap Mountain, kind of the start of the Tongue Mountain Range, part of the Lake George Wild Forest. You can hike those mountains. You can hire a guide like myself for that. And you can see now that it's coming down into a new community. This is called Sabbath Day Point, and this is where Route 9N comes down off of the Tongue Mountain Range into this community called Sabbath Day Point.
Profile rock. You can see his nose sticking out pretty good right now. Right on that vertical drop right ahead of us. You have that rounded part of the mountain. Working your way to the left, there's that vertical drop. And on the vertical drop is Profile Rock. It looks like...
All right, we've come north into Blair's Bay. That's Profile Rock there. That's looking north, further north onto the lake. So this is all looking back south. We've rounded Anthony's Nose Mountain. We're looking off to the west there into the Faro Lake Wilderness area that is right on the border of the Lake George area. That's Rogers Rock. The campsites are down below. You can see that sandy part. Right in the middle is Rogers Rock Campground. That's where their beach is. Rogers Rock is this tall mountain in cliffside that we're looking at over here. You can actually climb that 600 feet of vertical gain, I believe it is. That you cannot hire me out for. All right, we're getting pretty far north here on the lake. We're about to turn around. You can see that beach off in the distance. That's the Ticonderoga Town Beach on Lake George. It's a nice spot to swim. It's down a one-way road, or a dead-end road rather. So there's Mount Defiance, the northernmost mountain on Lake George. It overlooks both Lake George and Lake Champlain, and if you're on the top of it, you can see Fort Ticonderoga. Alright, we're pretty much in the northern part of Lake George. This is as far as we go, Baldwin Landing. You can see here the lake has a different color to it. It's a lot shallower here. Sandy bottom up this way. That's the landing we're about to get into. As far north as the Mohican can go. Alright, so we've just gotten out of the Baldwin Landing, and we had docked there to take on some passengers. Bicyclists will often ride up there and meet us there, take the boat back. So as we're heading south now, leaving the Baldwin dock that we had just docked at. Again, that's Mount Defiance there at the northern end. This is called Cook Mountain that we're looking at. You can hike that up. And then this is Hart Bay. And we're coming to past Rogers Rock. And we're looking south now as we head south along Lake George. Alright, as we head south, we're getting a really good view of Rogers Slide, Rogers Rock Mountain. You can see the trees growing outside of the cliffs. The water below us is over 100 feet deep. That slide is about 600 feet of vertical gain. Sometimes we see rock climbers climbing up it. That's one thing I cannot guide, so if you want suggestions for guides, I can let you know. Rock Sport has very good guides for rock climbing. But you can just see how massive this is. We're gonna get another look at Rogers Rock. You see this little island. This is all Rogers Slide, Rogers Mountain. That's Cook Mountain back there. We're looking across the lake from Rogers Rock. Campsites on the Mohican. That's Anthony's Nose Mountain. And we're looking south on Lake George. As we head south along the lake, just another quick look north. Alright, some footage yet again of us heading south. That's looking toward Hewlett's Landing. Sugarloaf Mountain on the left and Black Mountain on the right. You'll see Shelvin Rock over there and the southern part of Lake George Basin. Tongue Mountain Range off to the right. We're coming up on Deer Leap Mountain. That's this one with the cliffside. Over here we have the community of Sabbath Day Point. This is where Route 9N comes down off of the Tongue Mountain Range and starts to follow the lake yet again northward. You can see this rocky shoreline coming up. This is the beginning of the Tongue Mountain Range, cutting into Lake George to form a peninsula of sorts. This rocky part of the shore is part of Deer Leap Mountain, where the rock has fallen off from the cliff over time. Alright, heading south, we're coming past Halfway Island right now. Halfway Island is exactly halfway up the lake or down the lake, depending on which way you're going. It is state land, but there's actually a huge rattlesnake population up in the Tongue Mountain Range. So they don't use that island. We're up in the Narrows on Lake George, going behind the Dollar Islands. There's two of them. One's a camping island, one's a picnic island. This is a little channel we have to go through. You can see Shelvin Rock Mountain down there. We get very close to the shore here, but not to fear. It's over 30 feet deep below us, even though right along the shoreline you can see how shallow it gets. That peak up there is called Fifth Peak. The Dollar Islands have a popular jumping spot where people will jump off that little cliff into the water. Looking along the shoreline of the Tongue Mountain Range, if you look up here, that's Fifth Peak. You can hike to the top of it. There's a lean-to up there that you can stay at, actually. And that's part of the hiking trails of the Tongue Mountain Range. This little point of land that we're going to come up to, you can actually hike down to it. We're sailing through the Narrows at this point as we continue to head south back to Bolton Landing to make a quick stop. We're going into Shelvin Rock Bay. That's where the Napa Estate lies. This part of the land is owned privately, although Shelvin Rock Mountain there, the one with the cliff, is owned by the state, and so you can hike up it, hike around it, climb it, rappel it. You just can't enter into the privately owned properties that you see here along the lake until we get down onto state land. So we're passing the privately owned properties, and you can see over here where the state land begins, and you can recreate over there, go for a swim, go fishing. These are the Hen and Chickens Islands that we're passing, also state owned. Shelvin Rock Mountain there with the cliffs. It's a beautiful area to go explore. You can hire me as your guide to go off trail and see some old ruins that are up in that area. And it follows that eastern shore, Buck Mountain, Pilot Knob, back down into the southern basin of Lake George. All right, we've done the whole Discovery cruise. We are coming back into the Steel Pier at Lake George. It's just after 4 o'clock, so we're a little late, but we did have to make stops in Bolton Landing and in Baldwin. So we're heading into Pier. Thank you for coming out on this cruise with me. All right, we've got a final look at our docking procedure here on the Mohegan. We've got a deckhand and a mate here. Deckhand at the back there, someone to catch the lines. Thanks for riding with me on the Discovery Cruise, Lake George Steamboat Company, Motor Vessel Mohegan. Come out for a ride sometime. Just like that, we're going to be docked in.